Sully with Kitchen Table Research, where we do the research so you don't have to. You can reach out to us on several platforms, including Facebook, which we're under Kitchen Table Research Podcast. Our Instagram is Kitchen Table Research. Our TikTok is Kitchen Table Research, or you can find us under Marcus the Bunny. And if you want to reach out via email, which this might be a great episode to reach out to us via email, it is kitchen.table.research@gmail.com. And if you reach out to us, we will send you a free bumper sticker. I just want to let everybody know that today this podcast is being sponsored by Liquid Death. So this season, you can murder your thirst with Liquid Death's all-natural water. So thank you to our sponsor today. So today I have two very special guests with me, and the goal of this podcast is for Yvonne to tell her story, and Sabra is here as an advocate and friend to Yvonne. But this mother is asking for our help for the FBI to reopen the case. So you guys can find their social media. Miss Yvonne is Max to the Millions, and that's who we're going to be talking about today, is Max DeVries. And she's under TikTok and Facebook, Max to the Millions. And then Sabra is Project 2, the number, Project 2 Hope. So I'm going to let you ladies, Yvonne, you want to go first, introduce yourselves, and then we'll get into the story.
Thanks for having me and letting me use your platform. I'm Max's mom, and next to me is my friend Sabra. Max is my son. He's been missing for 20 years. I took him to Aruba on a vacation where we went to kind of celebrate our strength as a family of three. Max's dad, my husband, had passed away 18 months before this trip that we went on, where we went to Aruba. Max and I and Dominique and Auntie Pat were there where we met two men from the United States, from the Chicagoland area. And we had some things in common. So we started talking and starting to get to know each other a little bit, just like you do when you're on vacation. I allowed Max to go on a jet ski with Junior. I'm going to refer to them Junior and Senior. They both have the same name, so it gets a little bit difficult. But with Junior, one day after playing pool several times, they went on a jet ski together. They came back. Max let me know that that Junior had taken him to the sandbar, and they went way far out of the way, about 6 miles further than they were supposed to. They came back, and everything was fine. I did, get on Max's case for going too far and knowing what the directions and the rules were given to them by the jet ski company. Everything was fine. The next day, the father had said that he would like to go jet skiing, and his son was still upstairs sleeping because he had had too much of a rough ride, and his body was all beat up from the day before on the jet ski. So he had asked Max if he wanted to go, and I said no. Max had already went the day before, and he was fine. We were winding down, getting ready to go home. That's when, he made sure Max heard the invitation, and of course Max wanted to go, let me go, let me go. And I caved. I let Max go on the jet ski again, and I gave Senior directions not to go to the sandbar, that they were disciplined for it the day before, and they left. They went together to the water, got the jet skis, and at the time, I did not know that it was a jet ski company that was not in a legal forum, that, whatever. I didn't know it at the time. But anyway, they did go on the jet ski ride. Supposed to be 45 minutes, an hour passed, time was clicking. They have not returned. I went down to the water's edge to find out where they were and just grab them and bring them back. At that point, there was one of the workers looking through the binoculars to the left side, and I'd asked him if he saw the little dark-haired boy come back from the ride yet. And he said, no, that's who we're looking for. They're not back yet. So right then it started feeling like a little not good inside. I just knew something wasn't right. So I just turned around and went to the hotel desk and told them that I needed some help, that my son was missing. And they said, well, they'll be back. They're just on the jet ski ride. I'm like, no, they're already looking for him. They're not coming back. So he walked into the water's edge again, and there he started talking with the jet ski company. They were already looking for Max. And time went on, and the next thing you know, there's more boats going out. The police come right away. And I'm not really sure how much time passed, but you could hear on the walkie-talkie that they found somebody and they were bringing them in. And I had asked who it was, and they said they didn't say. Well, I know they did say, but they just weren't telling me. So as the boat comes in, you can see it's the older gentleman, and Max is nowhere to be found. So when he gets off the boat, I ask him, where's Max? And he said he was still out there. And I'm like, what do you mean he's still out there? He said the jet skis died on the sandbar, and Max is still out there. That he swam for help. The story had changed so many times. I don't even know which order they came in anymore. But when he got off the boat, he had scratches on his neck, on his arm, and on his hand. And I knew right away that those were Max's defensive scratch marks. I knew it. Having been, in plenty of girl fights, you just know what those scratches look like. He said that those were just red marks from scratches from getting off the jet skis onto the boat, which didn't make sense. But there's a lot going on in my head, to think of all the things that I should be asking or doing. They're just really not happening.
Well, and
We get to the police.
did these
I'm
people
sorry.
speak clear English, or were you also having to translate?
No, you know what? The police there, they did good with the broken English. They did well, I think, understanding my questions. It was
Yeah.
just a lot
Yeah.
to process. Um, so we get to the police station, and well, before we get to the police station, I'm standing on the water's edge, and all of a sudden, Junior walks up behind me, like, "Oh, what's going on?" I'm like, "What's going on? Where have you been all day? They've been looking at it for you. The police have been pounding on your door, looking for you." And all of a sudden, he shows up right where we're at, and he knew right where we're at. It's not like they made a big announcement and said, "Hey, there's a little lost boy at the water's edge. Come look for us. Come find him." But he knew exactly where I was. That is really strange in itself. How, of all the places, he knew exactly where I was. So we all go to the police station. I grab Dominique and Pat from the pool side.
And who is Dominique? That's your daughter, your eldest daughter.
Yes, my only daughter.
Okay.
And so we end up going to the police station and do, the interrogation or ask questions or whatever you want to call it. And their police station was very small. It's not like in the States where you have these nice rooms and they're private. It's all open and you can hear what he's saying. I'm like, that is not what you just told me. So the story went from Max took off his life jacket and he swam to shore. Another one was he went swimming towards the jet skis and never came back. Another one was we were hanging on to the jet skis. Max tied them together, and they were, flopping in the water. I heard a thump, and I saw him drift away. I'm like, and you didn't go after him? You didn't call out to him? No, that was the agreement we made that we were going to save our energy and not say anything. I'm like, if something's dangerous happening, you're going to scream out, "Hey, kid, are you okay?" Go ahead, Sabra.
Do you know how long they were gone from the time they left to go out till the time they found them?
I don't even know. It's probably written down. Maybe 3 hours. It's written down someplace. I don't really, off the top of my head, remember. I think it's been like it was around 3 hours, but I could be wrong. But enough time went by. And again,
And how long was the jet ski rental for? Was it like just supposed to be an hour long rental?
Yeah, 45 minutes.
45 minutes. So that way you can gear up, get on the jet ski, return it. And
Well,
I
it's
mean,
not a whole day long adventure.
right. And one of the things that they tell you, and I've looked at this case, is that A, Max was a pretty good swimmer, and B, you know to never take your life jacket off. And he knew that.
Max would never have taken his life jacket off. First of all, we had a sailboat. He knew water safety. He was a charter boat fisherman. He was a first mate. He knew the rules of the water. He was really, really smart for his age. Water was his thing. I mean, anything about water. I mean, his dad would have him climb up the 18-foot mast and do things. I mean, fearless, he had zero fear. He was very smart, very well educated to the safety of water. So no, he never took off his life jacket. He would never have.
Right.
But again, why would this man, this educated man who held a very good job, who knew what yes and no meant, take my son to a sandbar unless he had alternative motive? Because that was the last thing I said. Stay off the sandbar. The man knew it. He was taking charge, protecting my son.
You had explicitly given him directions to not go, because the sandbar was outside of the scope of where the jet skis were allowed to go, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So, and again, just for that, he was never held accountable. Just for taking a minor and I didn't know that Max wasn't old enough to rent that jet ski out without his parents' permission. That's the illegal part of the jet ski company not being in whatever right format. So in compliance. In compliance, that's exactly the word I was looking for. In compliance. So the Aruban police did. They did a huge search for Max, and I don't know what the Aruban equivalent to the Navy is, but they had helicopters looking for Max, boats, even other boats from just the area started looking for him. It was a search, it was a tent search. And then the knock on the door came and said, "We didn't find your son. We're giving up the search, and you guys can go home tomorrow." And that was it. That was it. They never found a life jacket. They found the jet skis. They did not bring the jet skis in because they said the boom on the boat was broken. You don't need a boom to bring jet skis in. They're floating. You can take dental floss and pull them to shore. You don't need the boom.
Right.
So in such a poor country, they let these jet skis float away. So I couldn't tell if they were broken, damaged, that would corroborate his story that they were broken or tied down. They just floated away. I asked for a finger swab, a DNA underneath his fingernails. I asked them to do a lie detector test, and they said, "No, this is not America. We will not be doing things like that." Like, why not? Why would they not make one phone call to the United States to see if this man had a record, if he was in good standings with the American government?
Or at least when he got off the airplane in America, why wasn't the FBI or somebody standing there waiting for him to come back onto American soil
and question him? So time goes on, and I'm looking for answers and for help, but at the same point, I'm still like swirling from my husband's death, now my son's death, trying to keep it together for my daughter, trying to sell the family home. In the meantime, other tragic things of life are happening. More deaths of family and friends, the family dog, I mean, there's just so much going on. In the meantime, I'm struggling at pieces, begging for help, and really nobody wants to help. It's just too complex. Like, no, we have Aruban law, the Netherlands, and American law, and then you have maritime law.
Right.
No body. And it's just too hard. Well, we have 10 cases we can make right. This one's just too hard. So they didn't do anything.
But it's
Nothing
really not
happened.
that hard. Like, you guys could have taken those jet skis in and looked at them mechanically to see if there was any type of not only engine failure, but like you said,
Exactly.
scratches on the jet ski, any indications that there was a wreck, or that the jet skis, because I grew up on a lake, so I know jet skiing and the water fairly well. I mean, sometimes our jet ski, when we go to the sandbars, it'll pull sand up. So, does that even show that they even went to the sandbar? You know what I mean?
Right.
If sand had been
So
pulled up into the mechanism of the jet ski.
so many unanswered questions that I'll just never know the answers to. Fast forward.
We'll never know until somebody can speak to that man 20 years later, and hopefully the remorse and just the guilty conscience that man has had this whole time, so that he will actually share what happened.
But we know that sociopaths don't have a conscience.
True.
But I have no choice other than to think the worst when he's never stepped up to clear his name with me. I met a girl through Facebook. She contacted me and she said, I wanted to let you know that I dated the man who hurt your son. And right away, the hairs on my arm went up. And I texted her just a little bit back and forth to see what she knew, if it was true. And I'm like, you got to call me. You got to call me. So we had long conversations. And what happened was he went to bed one night and he woke up talking in his sleep. He was screaming out Max's name. And she asked, who is Max? And he's like, what are you talking about? And then he started getting a little bit heated. And he said, did my father tell you about Max? We don't talk about Max in this house. And she said, well, who is he? Is he a nephew? And he said, I told you, we don't talk about Max in this house. And then he proceeded to beat her. I just can't go into every single detail.
Allegedly.
Horrific.
Right. Well, we can cover our ass. Allegedly, he became aggressive towards her.
Aggressive and hurt her in so many numerous ways that were really horrific. If you were to read the report, it was very brutal. So in the meantime, another girl came forward, and all of these, both girls had the same horrific story. And he went to court. He was tried, and for some reason,
for the crimes against these ex-women.
Against them.
Yes.
Against them.
Okay.
And the detective who was supposed to keep me informed on all of that, the state's attorney or whatever she was, she sends me a text and she's like, I'm sorry, I've got so many cases. I dropped the ball. I believe that they harmed your son. But you know what? She was done. She retired right after. She was done. I'm like, how can so many people drop the ball on one person? And all he got was 2 years probation. 2 years probation for that. In the meantime, a year after Max goes missing, you hear about that little blonde girl who went missing in Aruba a year later.
So that'd be Natalie Holloway.
Yes, almost to the day. So much attention,
right?
So much help, and no one ever correlated the two stories. They never even reached out and said, hey, do you have anything that you want to say about this? Nothing. So, you know what, I'm so glad, that she got a lot of attention.
Of course.
And there's when they got answers.
Right.
But it's just like, again, what do I have to do to bring attention for closure or answers for my son?
So your son, Max, disappeared about a year to the date before Natalie.
Right. Almost like a year.
And we know that now because of Johan, whatever his name is, he has been and has admitted to Natalie Holloway. So that case has kind of been solved.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. But Max's case, A, hasn't gotten the attention, and B, hasn't been solved. So I know Sabra might drop off a little early. Sabra, why don't you kind of tell us before you have to drop? What do you want to say?
Well, 20 years ago, social media was not invented.
Right.
So in the last few years, lots of stories have been solved and brought into light. And that's the goal here for her, is to literally spread her word so that one person is reached, and that one person, just one person, is going to be able to open up, and we're going to be able to, Yvonne's going to be able to receive new information to be able to bring to the FBI, or perhaps an FBI agent who really wants to help someone is going to be able to speak to her and just find new information. And that's all that in my heart I think that this woman deserves.
Absolutely.
Is somebody to give her a chance to explain it over and over and over again till somebody hears, and when they hear, just offer her a helping hand. That's all she's needing right now, is just a platform to be able to share the story so that somebody can hear it. You've got TikTok, Facebook, Discord, you've got podcasts, you've got multiple outlets, NBC, CBS, ABC, Paramount, everything that this woman has done. She has repeated her story so many times that I almost can repeat it word for word.
Well,
if somebody can share it out and somebody else can hear it and help her, that is all she wants. The gentlemen, the two men, junior and senior, need to be interrogated again in a proper way. The evidence needs to be looked at again in a proper way. There are way too many new methods to produce results
right
nowadays than there was 20 years ago.
I don't understand why the FBI won't just, because this case falls under the FBI, correct, Yvonne?
Yes, as far as I know, that's what has to happen. There was a case file open with Max, and it kind of went silent. They shelved it because of 9/11. The detective, the agent that was working on it, had to go help with terrorism, which, you know what, I completely got it. I understood, what was going on, but they never went back to it. They just left it on the shelf. So they didn't do anything with it until this girl came forward. And if it wasn't because she came forward, Paramount would never have done this story. Discovery would never have done this story. But now you have an agency who is as big as they are, who believed in what I said and in the story and sharing Max's story. When they have so many out there, they found credibility and wanted to help. And they did. And the FBI...
And over again, people have found credibility in her story.
Oh, absolutely.
Over and over again.
Well, and
the FBI did go to Junior's home at one point. I don't think, and I don't understand why they didn't go to Senior's. Maybe, I don't know. I don't, there's just so many twists and turns that I don't believe they did, because I can remember that they went to Junior's and they asked him to take a lie detector test and tell his story. And he's like, oh yeah, absolutely. I'll take a lie detector test. Well, what happens on the day that he went to go take the test? He never showed up. And they said, you know what, we asked him, he never showed up.
Why can't they have enough evidence to
managed
subpoena him? That is the last known person to see Max alive. They need to subpoena this man, both of them, in my opinion, because they both know something, junior and senior. I don't understand why the FBI, I know they have the capability to subpoena both of them and force them.
For that, I don't know. I mean, maybe I watched too much TV. Were they paid off? I don't know. I don't know what happened.
What were you saying about how two people could go to a foreign country and an incident so big happen and then come back to the States and never mention it to anybody?
Yeah.
That's a good point as well to just the investigation and the interrogation and everything that's going on. Who did they end up telling? Who didn't they tell? Why?
Right. I mean, people fall down the stairs on a vacation and they're like, can't wait to get home and tell every detail of it. But to have such a horrific thing happen, and you talk to the person who it happened to, and you never said anything to anybody. And I say that only because
To be
the girls who
interrogated
knew
in
him,
that country.
right,
Yeah, and not mention it to anybody, not hire a lawyer because
Right.
you feel like it may come back to you.
right.
That's a good point.
So I think maybe, you know what, I was targeted, groomed, and then
Yeah, let's
Max
get
was
into
targeted.
that.
Groomed.
I wanna
Absolutely.
go backwards for a little bit, but before we do that, I have a couple things to say. First of all, Yvonne, I can't imagine going on vacation with my child and not flying home with them. Having
Absolutely.
to get on an airplane knowing that your child is not with you after you just suffered the loss of your husband. I
You
mean,
know, it was-
my
They
heart
actually had
breaks.
the audacity to speak to you in the airport.
Yeah, no, it was a long, quiet, silent ride home. And the takeoff was, so, I think my daughter captured it the best in her words when she said, we took off and you look underneath you, through the window and you see the water and maybe my brother's still there, and he's not sitting next to her. Yeah, a lot of people were affected by Max's loss, and not just Dominique and myself and our immediate family and friends, but a lot of people, his friends never knew how to deal with the death. It was the first loss of death that any of those children dealt with. They were just young, 13, 14, 15 years old. And they didn't have social media to help them, express their feelings or reach out. And I still keep in touch with them to this day, and I'll get letters and things, cute stories. But every one of them said the same thing. We didn't know that was the story. They just knew what they were told. Max was on a jet ski and he was lost at sea. So, you know what? It's taken 20 years to get his story out. And if that's all that happens, the truth of what happened, that he was just not on a reckless jet ski, there's more to the story. There's so much to this story. And it's taken 20 years to, get it out. And having, platforms like yours and Sabra's to share Max's story has reached a lot of people. There's a lot of chatter, and it warms my heart that people want to know still about my son.
Well, I'll tell you, before we started recording, I had pulled up a Reddit, and there are so many people on this one Reddit stream that said, I know Max. The mom, Yvonne, is an old friend of mine. You guys can go to this Reddit and see, some of the things we don't want to talk about on this platform, but it's right here on Reddit when you type in Max DeVries on Reddit.
The information is in there.
The information is right here, you guys. And there, people say, Max was my best friend. This is a horrible nightmare for 20 years. JFC, how heartbreaking. I knew right away when they said it was an adult man in Aruba celebrating his adoption with his father. What creep adopted a male child? And they're talking about junior and senior.
And he was never married, and they allowed him to adopt this kid. How does that even happen? You cannot even get a puppy unless you have a
No
family.
joke. And it says it's not uncommon for an abuser to become the abused to then become an abuser. I mean, this is right here on
backstory to that, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
this is right here on a Reddit. I have pulled up Unresolved Mysteries, the Max DeVries case. So you guys can go see that. The user is TU Grad, so you guys can go look that up. But my other thing is, because I've studied so much true crime, especially with people that have gone missing in bodies of water, something washes up. A life jacket is going to get caught in the rocks. Even pieces, and this sounds terrible, Yvonne, but you know, a piece would wash up. In Aruba, there's, you know, lots of rocks and rocky beaches where things get caught up, and it's like everything always washes back up. And so you've never had anything, a piece of clothing, nothing ever has washed up on an Aruban shore.
No, nothing. Nothing.
To me, that just totally changes the outcome of the story, because in my mind, this man took Max and did something out of the water.
Yeah, I believe that to be true.
Okay.
So there is a FBI file on Max. He does have an FBI case number, and all it has to do is to be reactivated. The detective who is in the Paramount piece, he's done all this work on Max's case, and he did it all out of the kindness of his heart. You know, he didn't ask to be paid. He didn't ask for anything other than he knew something really shady was going on, and he was gonna bring it to the attention.
You're going to go to the IHOP
Yeah, he was gonna make everybody aware of what was going on. And he did. You know, he's a seasoned, you know, professional. And I could never thank him enough for, you know, all of the hard work and what he's done to bring it to the attention of the FBI, to Paramount, and to be right there when nobody else wanted to help. And he's
tell
like,
us where we
this.
can
This
watch.
is easy.
Yeah, tell us where we can watch that Paramount and the Discovery. What the name of it and what I think they're on Prime, correct? Or Paramount, the Paramount app.
Paramount Plus season 5.
Everything's on her TikTok page. Everything is on Max to the Millions on TikTok.
Yeah, everybody go follow
And,
Max to the Millions, please, on TikTok.
Yeah, because you know what? I don't really
you
remember
gotta
the
do.
name of the episode. Mystery or something.
I think it's Mystery in
It's all laid
Aruba
out,
or
you know.
something. Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to say real quick before I do get off is Project to Hope is help one person every day. So if you're seeing this podcast, is all you have to do is help one person, help her, help one person every day. She is your person. When you see this podcast, when you hear this podcast, reach deep down inside, listen to what we're asking you for, and help one person. Project to Hope. I will help her for as long as I live. Silverbeard on TikTok and Project to Hope on TikTok. That's what we do, is help people. And Yvonne's TikTok page has went from 200 to over almost 7,000. And there are plenty of hits on there, but there needs to be one more, just one more person. And that one person is going to be the one that helps her.
Yeah.
So follow us.
I was going to say, what Sabra and Silverbeard do on TikTok, I have joined them in many discussions and brought in other victims, parents that have missing children, invited them to this group. You guys are so amazing, and I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for what you do.
Special guest, okay?
Okay, here he is, Silverbeard. You guys do such amazing work. I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for what you do. If you see them live, they do, they will, you know, if Yvonne needs help that day, they will set everything aside and do a live I've been in there for 4 hours talking with mothers with missing kids.
This man has done that from the moment that he has met her. He has offered his platform. He has over 10,000 followers, which on TikTok is not huge, but his interaction with his followers is amazing. And that is what has opened up my heart to allowing other people to speak as well. So following suit on this gentleman right here is amazing.
Yes.
So listen to me one more time. Project to Hope is help one person every day. I will help her every day. I will implore other people to listen to the story and figure out who in their repertoire will be able to help her try to reopen and activate Max's case, because that's all she needs. That's all she needs is one person to listen.
I mean, you could be the wife or the daughter of an FBI agent. You could be the wife or daughter.
Or the neighbor of the gentleman
right.
that has
Anybody.
information. Or the ex-wife or the girlfriend.
Or possibly
the
other
cousin
women
or
or victims that this man has impacted their lives.
Right, there's one more person out there who's been hurt by him. Max is not the only one.
And if they come forward and say anything, that's what it's going to take to reopen the case for sure. If they have any information about his strange behavior or someone's been around them, and you don't know if you live next to him. So listen to the story, figure out who he is, and see if you've interacted with these people for the last 20 years. Remember, if you've interacted with them, give us information.
Would you want to live next door to this man with your children? Hell no.
Hell to the no.
Hell to the no.
I don't want to be ignorant either and not know who I'm next to. And apparently, whoever's lived next to them do not know who they are.
Right. I mean, you could have a family, children, and you could be living on this man's block. You could be living in his neighborhood. This man is still out there able to, not just senior, but junior, to victimize other children. And as Yvonne stated, there has been another child, one that we know of, that has been victimized by this man. That we know of.
That's the problem. We don't know. So sharing this information on social media platform is important. Getting Yvonne to get out there every day and do a little live on TikTok every day, sharing something on Facebook. And she has done her due diligence. This woman has done and repeated the story and relived all of this over and over and over again. So she knows that she's doing the right thing. She knows that she's getting the word out there. But again, we need help, and we're just begging anybody who knows anything.
And all of us have pretty big platforms on TikTok. I've got a YouTube platform, Spotify. Repost it. Go to her live. Repost her videos. Put them on your story. You know, comment on when this episode hits YouTube. Comment, share. That way it gets pushed out. Okay, guys? This is one of the things I'm asking for my fans specifically, who are amazing people and are advocates for everyone, just like Yvonne, who has been victimized by crime, is, like we said, it takes one repost. It takes, put it on your story. Keep his name in your mouth. Keep his story alive and active, because I look up to this woman for being such a pillar of strength. I can't imagine as a mother what she has gone through. And I want to thank you, Sabra, for being such an amazing advocate and friend, and somebody that Yvonne can lean on when she needs help. You and your husband, Silverbeard, you guys do amazing work, and I just want to thank you guys for that.
Yeah, well, let's just back that up 1 second. That's her partner in New Hope. We're great friends.
Awesome. Well, great friends or not, you guys have both been such amazing people for Yvonne, and I want to thank both of you so much, because I do join your lives and I get to see you guys, and it's always a pleasure when you are. Okay, so Yvonne, I want to back up a little bit. I want you to tell us, let's go back and talk about Max's childhood. Tell us what he was like as a child. And
you know what? He came in 10-pound baby. He was just a force right from the beginning. Just a big baby and strong. He was walking at, 8 months. He was an overachiever. I mean, everything came so easy to Max. His dad was one of the kind of dads that just did everything with him. He's changing a tire. Max was right there learning how to do it. So, Max could pull apart a computer and just figure things out. he went to school, and he was in, I don't know if it was kindergarten or first grade, and his teacher came up to me at his dad's service and said, yeah, I knew Max was going to be something. When he met when she met Max, Max went right up to her, extended his hand and said, do you know who I am? And she says, no, I don't. He goes, well, my name is Max William DeVries, and you're going to know me. And like, oh my gosh, you know? So I mean, he sold our first sailboat to his third grade teacher. He made the deal on his own, brought her to the house, and said she's going to buy our sailboat. I'm like, did you talk to your dad? He goes, no, not yet, but I'm gonna. I'm like, okay, deal was made. You know, he was just funny. He was smart.
You guys had like
All
such a perfect all-American family, and it seems like within just a year, everything just.
It just fell apart so fast. George, his dad, we were blessed to have him an extra 10 years. He had his first heart attack young when he was 40 and ended up having a triple bypass surgery. And that's how he ended up passing away at our home right before our 13th wedding anniversary. He had a massive heart attack, and that's how he had passed. And we had a lot of great cherished memories. Dominique was, you know, in that stage with Max where, you know, brothers and sisters have those high and those lows and those highs and those lows, just because, you know what, they're both learning how to be a little bit sneakier. You know, they're growing up. They're not, you know, always needing mommy's permission to do things. You know, they were becoming teenagers.
Coming into
And
their own.
yeah, into their own. And sadly, you know, Max ended up passing on a low note, and Dominique had to, you know, live with that all these years. Like, you know, my brother never liked me, and you know, that's not true.
No.
You know, he loved her. It was just one of the highs and the lows of what, you know, your siblings do, and they were both really just shining stars, both of them. And I'm really blessed that Dominique and I spend so much time together as, you know, a mother and daughter. She still lives with me.
I was gonna say, you're texting me like, we're going on a camping trip. We're going here this weekend. So I'm glad that you and Dominique have been able to lean on each other as mother and daughter. You, like I said, I look up to you guys so much in what a family should be, and you guys show so much love and hope.
Aw,
It means a lot.
thank you.
It means a lot to me as a mother. I look up to not just you, but several other, you know, people that we've worked with. I mean, I know that you can't imagine yourself being that strong, but when you're put in that situation, you don't have an option. You know?
You don't have a choice. You just do it. And you know, so many people ask me, how do you, like, I don't know how I done it. I don't know. You know, for the love of my daughter, for all the scars that I've had in my past, I don't know. I'm just thankful that I can and that I am. And if I can, you know, be helpful to anybody else, I still want to be that person. You know, people will ask me like, or they'll bring it to my attention, like, oh, you know, how can you do this? How can you do that? It's like, you know what? You didn't break me. I'm still gonna be
Yeah.
that kind person who extends kindness to strangers, a warm hug to a stranger, because you know why? It makes me feel good. It makes me
I was gonna say,
feel
the
good.
first conversation
I'm
I
not
had
one
with you.
person rob that away from me and make me live in my dark basement because something bad happened. Bad things happen to good people all the time. And he's not going to win and turn me into a empty shell.
Right.
I will continue.
And Max and George would want you to be happy and want you and Dominique to still experience these, you know, family memories, and for you too to continue on and make, like you said, you guys go hiking, you guys go camping, you guys, every time I talk to you, I mean, I'm so happy that you and Dominique have each other. And like the
Yeah,
first
me
time I
too.
talked to you on the phone, I was like, wow, this mom, she's a powerful force to be reckoned with. Like, wow.
Aw, thanks. Thanks. You know what? On the bottom of all my cards, ever since George has passed, I signed them, you know, with angels watching over us and friends by our side, we're blessed. And I am. There's times I think I have nothing, nothing to give, nothing receiving. But I do know in my heart, I have angels watching over me and friends by my side. And for that alone, I truly am a blessed person because I know what it was like to have been truly loved and had a great marriage and a great son. And I love my daughter, and she's great too. So
And you
I
know
still
who
love.
doesn't have those feelings is the men that did this to your child. They will never
Right.
experience the love and joy that you have created in your family.
Yeah, I believe that to be true. You can't be a bad person and live in love in God's grace. They don't
No,
coexist together.
no.
You're either one or the other.
Well, and as you
Yeah.
stated, this man has been having nightmares for years, allegedly, according to women that have lived on and off with him. And so
Right.
he is suffering.
Yeah. And hopefully, you know what, one day soon, you know what, maybe he'll come forward. They're only getting older. They're only getting older. They're not going to live forever.
Yeah.
I just want to be on this earth when the truth comes out still.
Right.
I'm not getting any younger either. So.
Well, okay, so you said Max was just a force to be reckoned with. Tell us about his love of the water and the ocean.
You know what? We had a swimming pool in our backyard, and the kids, would have contests and how long they can hold their breath, the longest. And it's like, somebody come up, because, they could stay underwater for so long. They were both really great swimmers. They both enjoyed the water. The sailboat, I didn't even know how to run the lines on the sailboat, and both of them were, great on the boat. Max was a really kind heart. There's this two stories that I would never have gotten if it wasn't because of Facebook. They can now have a place to send me stories. This one little girl sent a story saying that when Max has passed, that the mom didn't know how to comfort her, so they went to the Build-A-Bear and they built a Max bear with sandals and shorts and a Hawaiian shirt. And she said, and I didn't know this, that she would cry herself to sleep holding that bear every night because she missed him so much. And she kept it in her house. And then as time went on, she packed it away. And now she has a daughter of her own, and she brings that bear out. The daughter found it and plays with it and laughs with it. And now it brings happiness where before, held her tears. And another little girl sent me a picture of a horse that Max drew and this beautiful poem on it. And she said that ever since Max gave it to me, I kept it. And then when he passed, I framed it and put it on my home in my mom's house. Now that I'm married, it's in my house on my wall. And her husband allows that, little sentimental memory from her
Absolutely.
childhood on her wall. And this other little girl I just adore her. The last two stories I'll tell of his little girlfriend, Harem, is this one little girl. She was in junior high and she had glasses on, and people were making fun of her because she had these glasses. And there's Max, going up to her locker, and she's like, he's going to make fun of me. And he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, nothing. He goes, I see you're putting those glasses away. He pulls them out, puts them on her face, and said, you're beautiful. You just wear them. You are beautiful. So she put this all in writing and sent me a whole bunch of stories of Max that I keep still in my dresser. And when I'm getting dressed, I see that little envelope. And one last little girl story. We went on a trip, Max, Dominique, and I, whitewater rafting, and we meet this little girl. She was just getting ready to graduate junior high, and she invites Max to go to her house for her graduation party. I'm like, you are not going to Pennsylvania to meet some girl that you just met camping to go for a graduation party. I'm not going to let you go. And she goes, come on, Mom, you can take me, can't you? I'm like, I'm not driving you to Pennsylvania. I live in Michigan. So he did not go. But when he passed, who was there in the front seat, her dad drove her to Michigan in the front seat, of the church to be there. And she sends me this most beautiful art bracelet with engraved Max's name and my mom on it. She keeps in touch with me every year. And you know what? Just the connections of his friendships that have endured. And they just, pop up still to this day. That's just a special little human being that these people cared so much about him that they still want to take care of his mama now.
That is
Um,
that is that is very, like I said, I just randomly pulled up a Reddit thing and there are hundreds of comments. I mean, of course, we don't always know
I'll
where
have to
they
look.
come
I've
from.
never looked on it.
I'll send you the link, but people saying that, oh, I met Yvonne at this event, or I was friends with Max back then, and I still tell my children. I'll send you the Reddit link, but I'm just like, wow. I mean, this little boy, he touched so many people, and it's sad that those are the people that get taken away from us. And to me, it's like, why are junior and senior allowed to be out there yet we don't have Max? And you don't ever get closure because you don't know what happened, but you can't even bury your child and have somewhere to visit to see him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the unknown and what we do in our own heads, it might be even worse. I don't know what could be worse, but you know what? My head has gone into every possible situation, every possible scenario of what could have happened to Max on the water that day. And truth be told, is I'll probably never really know the truth of what happened on the waters with the man who was last seen with Max that day. And you know what? That's all I want is this the truth.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
mean, I feel like you
Just
can't
the
get
truth.
closure until you have the truth. You know?
Yeah. You just walk in a hollow tunnel, going through the motions, trying to do the next thing that you do in your life, whether it's just the mundane things of what life is, or the exciting things that could happen. Um, but I haven't given up on that little guy in the 20 years. It's just taken so long. And time goes by so fast, you don't even realize how fast it goes by when it's not going by so slow. It just
I know.
happens. And
The days are
so,
long, but the years are short.
yeah, exactly. That is
Yeah.
so true.
Yeah.
But through social media, it's brought a whole new interest. People are
Mhm.
chattering about him. They want to know. And I want to share his story with as many people. And the sad part is someone's going to have to come forward to say they were hurt by this man, or the FBI is going to have to say, what, let's just relook and redo this case and just give it one more shot.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I feel like what is such a big ask to say, hey, FBI, come here. Like, we have your suspect. We know who he is. We know he was the last person seen with Max. I don't understand. This should be an open and shut case, in my opinion.
yeah, you would think
You would
so.
think so, right? I mean, so I think your main goal is to get people to push the FBI to reactivate. So the FBI doesn't ever close cases. Like Yvonne had stated earlier, they kind of shelve
Shelve
them.
them.
Yeah, shelve them, but they're still open. They never close cases. But it could take one FBI or the wife or the daughter or the son of somebody that works at the FBI that sees this and says, "Hey, listen, I think that this is a case that could get solved like easily."
Yeah, and I get it. There's so many missing people, so
Oh my
many,
gosh.
people that need attention that haven't even gotten nearly any
Right.
attention as Max has. And my heart just goes out to each and every one of them because I would love to somehow be that one person. If I can't help my son this way, let me help in another way. His spirit, his energy is still a force to be reckoned with. And I want to do whatever I can to bring attention to Max's story. But by doing that, you bring attention to all the other
Right.
stories. And I get it. It's a hard case, but just because it's hard doesn't mean you don't do anything about it. The Netherlands law, the American law, the Mediterranean, you know, law. And
Yeah,
I
the
know it all
maritime
comes
law.
into play. Maritime law. It
Yeah.
all comes into play. But really, really, is it that hard when everything is right in front of you? I mean,
Right. That's what I feel like. I'm like, this plate is being handed to somebody on a silver platter. Like, it's to me every case is solvable. Most of them. I would say 99.9% of cases are solvable if you have the resources to do it. And this is like a case on a silver platter where it's like you have the information you need. You have the suspects. You have everything handed to you. Why can't you just reopen it or, reinvestigate it?
and his case isn't the only case where they say no body, no crime. I'm like, no, that's not true. There's so many other cases that have been solved without a body, without concrete, evidence that's that, whatever. There's
Well, I'm
just
like,
so
I
many
just
other
worked
things.
a case and luckily I was able, and it's like, this is like the club that no one wants to be in, is a mother with a missing or, a murdered child. But the case, the Ali Lowitzer case I was working on, again, it's like, we don't have a body in that case. That doesn't mean that we weren't able to work the case.
Right? You don't get away with something that horrific just because there isn't a body to be found. You just can't. That
Right.
can't be. The new goal is let's hide them really well, and we got away scot free.
Well, look how much, and again, Natalie Holloway absolutely deserves every bit of attention that she got. No one is taking that away from her. What her family suffered is a complete injustice. What that man, Johan whatever, Vandersloot, I mean, what he did to that family is absolutely horrific. But again, there's not a body in that case, and they were able to solve that.
Well, I think that's because he finally confessed.
Right. So all we need is the FBI to just push these suspects to get them on a lie detector, interrogate them, take, like you said, DNA samples, swabs.
Yeah, and the similarity of what happened in that case, in Max's case, where he, lost it one day and ended up killing that little girl from Peru. I think that's where she was from, and ended up going to jail for that.
In South America.
That's why he was in jail because of that.
Yeah.
Here, Junior hurts and beats this girl in the same type of situation where those little parallels are the same. So if all those things are kind of similar, then what's the end result going to be? Like,
well, and we talk about this a lot on my page, is like, what creates a killer? Like, what in their childhood and their psychopathy? And you're right, you can see this clear transition of this man's life and the fact that he is an abuser. Why did he adopt an adult child? That, to me,
I don't think he didn't adopt him as an adult. He adopted him younger. But they had a falling out because of things that had happened between the two of them. They were, he was not adopted as an adult. He was adopted as a child, but he ended up not living with him after a certain amount of time, probably because of things that Senior did to Junior. Ended up living with his grandmother. Well, anyway, there's a whole dark story on that too, which, you can probably find on Google or Reddit, because everything can be found there, which I was even surprised because I had to pay for the interrogation, because I knew I wasn't going to have anything. So when they did the interrogation with him and myself, I wanted a copy.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we can't just give you a copy. You have to pay for it. So I had to pay for that, and I get it, and then it's in Dutch. I'm like, what am I going to do with this?
Oh, my God.
Well, then I had to send it back and say, can you translate it? Because I needed a legal document. So that one in itself took, I don't even know how long to get all of that. But everything was money.
Yeah. And it's like, why as parents, when our child goes missing or is murdered, why does the burden fall on us to pay for that? You know what I mean? Like, can we not take that out of tax dollars? Or
and I still don't have a death certificate or anything for Max, stating that other than he's, I don't even know at this point even if I want it,
So have you declared Max dead legally?
I tried at the 7 year mark
Mm-hmm.
because that was something that I thought could happen after 7 years. And I don't know what happened at that point after 7 years, if nobody wanted to do it or if I needed to wait longer because his case was different. But I did go to the town hall or the circuit court or whatever I had to go
Yeah.
to ask for the paperwork again. And I just did this recently. And she's like, Yvonne, I don't know if you really want to do that. It was going to cost me, I think she said $700
Mm-hmm.
to get the paperwork to request a death certificate.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't going to be a given. It was going to be up to the judge to say yes or no. And she goes, if he says no, then you just lost that money because they're not going to refund it. So maybe when it was fresh, I might have paid the $700. But now it's kind of like, well,
Well, I was gonna say, have you ever thought about, which I'm sure you have, but I'll ask it here. Once you have a death certificate, have you ever thought about filing a wrongful death suit against senior and junior outside of?
And again, how come and none of these things were offered when it first happened to me when I was talking to lawyers like, oh, we could do a wrongful death. He was the last person with your son.
Right.
You told him not to take him to the sandbar. He
Right.
took him to the sandbar. All these things. What nobody wanted to pick up on it. And again, you swirl around in circles and backtrack. I don't even know where or what I can do at this point
Right.
anymore. I don't. All that stuff I did visit at one time for some reason or another. It wasn't possible or nobody wanted to do it. So here again, I've gone in a complete circle. I'm back to square one again, asking for help.
Would you, if do you have a GoFundMe for Max to the Millions?
No.
I was gonna say, if you wanted to start one, I would put $100 into it and raise the $700 for you to file.
I don't even know if that's the right time. Like, what happens if, you get the death certificate and then you want to do something? Something was brought to my attention not too long ago. Like, you don't want to declare him dead yet because, oh, I wish I could remember the person who had said that. Who, I don't know. There was
And I
something
know
that they
there
could have
are
done.
some legalities that, I or you might not even know because of how complicated they make this system, right? But if that's something that you want to do, I would be happy to
So
start,
that is
to
very,
kickstart
very
something
kind
for
and
you.
sweet. At one point, when Max did in the very beginning, I did a thing called, that's where the whole Max to the Millions
Yeah.
came, is that I knew what it was like when you lose somebody. My dad died when I was 10, so I didn't want Dominique to have to feel that same abandonment of friends that I went through. So I thought if we kept his name out in the public and people were more comfortable talking about Max, that she wouldn't share that same stigma of black sheep kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
And we were all about doing good things, our family, to help other
Mm-hmm.
people. I was a home daycare mom. We constantly did things for the community and helped others. And that was just our way of normal everyday life, was giving. And we were blessed. We were a lucky family to have had
Right.
so much that we were willing to share it. And then when they died or passed, I didn't want that to stop. So we did start a foundation in Max's name called Max to the Millions. And we had many fundraisers. We raised a lot of money opening up an endowment fund for little preemie babies at the U of M. Dominique was a preemie baby. And we helped a new person every year by giving them something that they could do to help themselves. And then after it was all done, I kind of felt like, darn it, I should have saved something for Dominique. That it was brought to my attention, like, you know what, a college fund. But I just wasn't thinking. My whole thought was putting other people first. And, as time went by, yeah, I could have used the money. We downsized our home. We did this, we did that. But by no means am I struggling,
Right.
to put food on my table.
I mean, you could
I've
have
done
helped
fine
another
with
kid survive what Dominique was lucky enough to, being premature at birth. So, I don't think you can ever regret helping people.
it. No, I just,
But I
I
just
never
feel
put
like it's
anything
time
aside
for
for Max.
somebody to help you, Yvonne. Like, you've given so much. You're such a beautiful, amazing person. You and your family, your friends, Sabra and a Silverbeard, you have so much great support, and I just feel like it's time for somebody to give back to you. And that's, I know you have a goal of getting the FBI to reopen and reactivate the case, but my goal that I'm asking for my friends is simply to just go visit her TikTok and repost her stuff, and when she's live, of course, you can send stuff on TikTok, but TikTok takes so much money away from that. So if you do decide that you want to start a fund, maybe to, declare a death certificate, which this is up to you, but I would be there to support you. So if that's something you want.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll keep that in the back of my mind and make sure that if I do request that death certificate, that I do it in the right time, because we've come so close. I mean, 20 years. I don't want to do anything wrong now, and we're coming so close to possibly,
maybe
some
like,
answers.
and maybe we wait for another 6 months and see, can we get the FBI to do what we're asking, and then you don't have to jump through that hoop. But maybe if we don't.
A couple of balls that I'm juggling right now that I can't talk about on the podcast. But you know what? Sooner or later, the interest is gonna die down on Max. So for right now. All my friends know the story.
Right.
Like you heard Saba, they know the story. It wasn't until recently that, when I said I wanted to do this TikTok, Saba jumped in full feet and you got to do it this way, you got to do this way. I'm like, that's not my thing. But, when I followed the advice of her and you and what to do and how to do it, that's when my page, took off.
Oh, I'm like, and your page just erupted one day. It was amazing.
It wasn't because your help, Sabra's help, and a couple of podcasts that came out just at the right time. That's a lot of people watching, his story, wanting to know. And,
well, and it's funny enough, I had told a couple of my, friends that are into true crime, I'm like, oh, I'm so excited I get to, I get to give my platform to Yvonne to tell her story. And they're like, oh, they're like, Max from Aruba, they're like, I just recently saw that, or I just recently heard about that. So maybe, it is getting out into the atmosphere, into the ether, into the, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think that this is our push, is to get the FBI to reactivate this case. Like I said, it's being handed to you on a silver platter. Take it, solve it, get another one on the books, help this family, give them closure. And do you have anything else you want to say? Before we get off, I definitely want to see some pictures of Max, because I know that you had pulled some.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, don't forget. We want to see pictures of Max, of course.
Yeah, no, I had some pulled, and then I forgot to even pull them by the
That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. Yeah, flip the phone, I think, and then, yes, perfect. Hold it up and try and kind of center it. And then I'm going to have you send me, I love the one of the duck. So that's you and Max. How old would you say he is there?
Oh, he's probably 3 or 4.
Yeah, 3 or 4. Oh my gosh, that's precious. And we'll use one of, you can pick a photo, your favorite photo of you and Max, or that's a great one. And we'll use that as our YouTube.
Yeah, this one here would be the one.
Yeah, I was going to say, that one is so perfect. So we'll use that one for our art on YouTube. So when you go to the video, that's what you see.
He taught himself how to play the guitar. After his dad died, I let him, we used to have a messy day party every time the school year ended. And all the kids in the neighborhood would come, and we would have whipped cream and shaving fights and egg fights and toilet paper and just a messy day party.
There we go. Lean it up a little bit. Lean it forward. The top of it. Yeah, there we go. And that's a picture of Max and your husband.
Yeah, that was
Max
a
and George.
wedding, one of the last weddings of the family, my niece and nephew.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know, there's just, I don't know, I can just show pictures forever, honestly.
I know. Of course, he's your baby. Well, we'll get some good pictures of him that I can insert into
I'll send you 13 or so.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. And we'll insert him throughout the podcast when you're talking about him. We can definitely edit that. So.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'll send you a handful. I mean,
Yeah.
he just was so musical and so loving and so good.
He
There's
just
this
seemed
little
like
girl.
such a creative, creative, sweethearted, pure intentions. Just a good. You guys were such a great, loving family. Like I said, when I hear these stories, it just rips my heart apart. I can't imagine something like that happening to my own child, and that is why I advocate so much for mothers that have lost their children. It's like we said, it's a club that you never want to be a part of, right?
When he was a little guy, like just maybe 3 or 2, let's see, maybe 3. There was a little neighbor girl. She became my best friend, the mom. She was severely handicapped, and Max would go over to her house and play with her. Like she was just like a little normal little girl. Like there was nothing wrong with her, and they became such good little friends. She ended up passing right after Max passed of just her medical complications.
Like you said, it didn't want, when your husband passed, it just seemed like it was just a domino effect in your life.
It was. It truly was a just. So that was the car that the dad had bought him, so he could learn how to drive on and get ready.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
so he was just learning how to drive, playing guitar.
No, he was only 13 when his dad died, but the price was right, and I think the dad really wanted.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm sure that his dad wanted to see him do certain things before he passed. Obviously, there's him by the pool.
Yeah,
of course.
And I think the dad knew that that was our little Model A. Let's see, whoops, where is that?
Yeah, you can see it, a little Model A.
Yeah, it was a little parade car. We had a Dunkin' Donuts store, and he used. Boy, this is like hard to navigate.
There we go.
If I do it this way, right? Maybe it'd be better if I do it that way. Then at least I can see. Whoops, did I lose you?
Nope, we're good.
How do I get you big again? Oh, there.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, we have, you know what, we really did. And George used to always say, we lived a lot of life in a short amount of time. We got married, we had kids, we bought and sold 3 or 4 businesses, Dunkin' Donuts stores, we moved. We lived a lot of life, and I think we had to pack a lot in because I think the dad knew he wasn't going to be around for the long haul, but I never expected Max not to be around for the long haul.
Right.
And that really will always be just my biggest loss, my biggest regret,
Obviously. I mean, like I said, I can't imagine, but I try and tell people that I advocate and work for, it's like you just have to remember the good memories. And like we've said, there's people on Reddit, there are people that joined our podcast earlier that, I mean, so many people still to this day care about Max. They're telling their children about Max's story. And to me, that's really touching that you guys made such an impact, like you said, in such a short amount of time. I look up to this woman as a mother, as an advocate for everything that she stands for and has done. She's just an amazing person, and I'm so glad that you wanted to come on my podcast and let me tell your story, or give you a platform to tell your story. And I thank you for that, and I hope that I have great fans out there. You guys know who you are. You know what to do. Like I said, go to our TikToks. Go to Max to the Millions. Go follow Yvonne, and you can see her go live and tell Max's story. And I think that's the best way. Like kind of like Sabra was saying, social media is the way. And if we can get enough attention on this, I don't see how the FBI can just keep ignoring it.
Well, you know what? It's with the effort and help that you've given, and others, who have stepped up to want to help me. I my heart is just so grateful and full of thanks and gratitude. So thank you.
Well, it
Thank
goes
you for
both
sharing
ways
it.
because, like I
Yeah.
said, as a mother myself, I look at you and other mothers that have suffered this same terrible. I mean, no, first of all, you always want to outlive your children, but for something so sinister to happen to your child is really uncomprehendable. And so like I said, you guys are just amazing women that push for their children and push for answers. And I look up to you guys in so many different ways. So I'm so glad that we found each other through TikTok, through social media.
TikTok, exactly,
Yes.
exactly. That's how we found each other.
Well, and as
So
soon as
thank
I
you.
saw Max's story, my question is, what can I do to help? Well, I can give you a platform and I can share, and that's our goal. And I know, Yvonne, your goal is really to get the FBI to reactivate this case, right?
That is my goal, is just to have them come and reactivate it, and let's get answers, and let's really put a close to it, so
Right.
it doesn't continue to be one of those haunting stories out there.
Or before
And
another child is at the hands of this man. It could be your kid. Like Sabra said, you could be living next door to this man and not know it.
yeah, well, we'll see how long it takes, but for right now, I'm not giving up. There's a lot of chatter and a lot of more things that are happening. So just, keep an eye on
I say
Max's
one last
page.
time, tell us where we can go watch his stuff. So Paramount Plus has an episode on him, and I'll post it in the description for you. I know you've got a million things
Yeah.
swirling through your mind, but so Paramount Plus did an episode on him, and so did Disappear through Investigation Discovery, correct?
Yeah, the IG Discovery
Yes.
channel.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
there's
post
two
the
of them.
links so that under our YouTube video, we'll post some shorts to TikTok, and under the YouTube video, I will give you guys the references where you guys can go watch this story through Paramount Plus and Discovery ID.
Perfect.
Is there anything
Well-
else you have to say before we?
No, just, just the biggest
I
heartfelt
know.
thank you for sharing, all the time and effort that's going to go into putting this podcast together, because there's a lot of time that we just spent chattering all over the place that you have to cut it and put it together.
It's my pleasure, honestly. If this is one thing I can do, I would do it every day for the rest of my life to get answers for parents, not just you, but for other parents that are going through the same thing, and to see your strength, especially as a woman, as a true crime person, as an advocate. It's like I said, I'm speechless by what you've been through and what the strength and the hope, and that, like you said, like, I'm not gonna give up my kind heart just because somebody else was so evil in this world.
Right. Right. It's a conscious thing that I want to make sure that I always stay, kind. And I'm so thankful, for each one. And if I don't get a chance to reach out and say thank you the right way or the correct way for every person who posts or reposts, I truly am thankful. Each one has made a difference. So,
Absolutely.
I will continue to, hopefully reach out and say thank you. But if I miss somebody, just know I truly do appreciate every bit of kindness and kind word and repost that has come my way from Max. So thank you.
Well, and just one more time, I'm just going to tell you guys, the entire episode will be available on YouTube. We'll post some shorts to TikTok. I can send Yvonne this, and she can post it on her own platforms and on Max's website. And go check out Sabra. It's,
True Hope.
I literally have it written down. I shut my laptop 1 second too early.
I think it's True Hope.
Project, the number 2 Hope, is where you can find Sabra. And like Yvonne said, all of her stuff, if you just Google Max to the Millions, you'll be able to see content over Facebook, TikTok, etc. You guys can go follow her. Go follow her on TikTok, repost her videos, watch her story. She does go live a few times a week at least. You go live.
I try.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's harder,
Well, yeah.
When you're, when you're not selling anything and you're not having, a joke, it's just hard to like try
Tell every single day. I know.
and redo his story every day.
But you guys can go catch her, and sometimes I go live with them as well to help advocate. So yeah, I think the best place to find us would be YouTube and TikTok, and then you can find Yvonne anywhere under Max to the Millions. I just want to thank you so much for sharing your story with me. It's very touching, and it's my pleasure to help in any way that I can.
Thank you. And if you have any projects that are coming up that I can be, helpful or a service to, just let me know. I'm there. And I appreciate you giving me your time and your platform and your heart. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Much love to Yvonne and to Max, and I hope that we can get the FBI to reactivate this case. So let's go, everyone. We can do this. We can do
That's
this.
my mission. Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go. You have an excellent day.